Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the archived version of the developer commentary run of Mirror's Edge Catalyst that we did as a live stream. This run was done as part of a charity marathon benefiting the Prevent Cancer Foundation. It is presented without ads, and instead I would like to ask that if you enjoyed this content, please consider donating $1 or $2. You can find links that on the video and in the description. Enjoy. In a second here we're going to restart the game. Obviously I've played a bit here. So we're going to start it over, and let's, I guess, introduce ourselves and what we did on the game.
Yeah. Should I start?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So my name is Erik Odeldahl. I was the design director on Mirror's Edge Catalyst. So I led the design and the narrative parts of the team for basically since its inception when we started working on it. Quite a bit before we actually released it, and so I was there for the whole concepting and pre-prod and production phase, and basically and I stayed at. I've been at DICE for 10 years, but I actually left DICE just after the release of Mirror's Edge Catalyst to do another thing.
Do another thing.
Yeah,
that's good.
I guess we can.
Which you should all check out.
Yeah.
We're not plugging that at all, but you should definitely go check that out.
Yeah, so we can. I'll come back to plugging that later, I guess.
all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Happy to be here. Yeah.
Glad to have you here for this. So, you know me as slicedlime. I'm also Mikael Hedberg, and I was the technical design director on the project. Not fully as long as Erik was there. I came in maybe halfway through and did a bunch of code stuff first, and then as our previous lead scripter left, I took over that and stepped in as technical design director for the last 1.5 years maybe of the project.
Something like that, yeah.
So I was basically on the project for two something years.
Yeah.
Let's reset. And I also left DICE. I went on to ship Battlefield 1 and have since left DICE. I guess what we can do is we can let the cutscenes run and not talk so much during them.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk while we're doing gameplay and stuff.
Yes. Perfect.
Which is going to be hard for you to tell because you have stream delay. But we're basically moving off into the first text section right now.
Yep. Slight delay.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell how long it is too.
I think I'm a couple of seconds after, so something like that. I'm gonna turn the volume up a bit so I know.
Yeah, the volume of stream is going to be a little bit low.
I'm scared.
This I can actually start this the initial text that the game started with was a very late addition, actually, to the game, which we added during those last... Now I'm going to be quiet.
Every new day holds a promise. You can waste it or spend it advancing yourself, furthering your prospects and your career. As a future employee of a corporation of your choice, your possibilities are infinite. The key to success lies in unlocking your inner potential through hard work and relentless dedication. As an employee, you are expected to perform at the top of your abilities.
Last day, huh?
And constantly strive to
I thought we'd keep you here forever, Leech.
Work is rewarded.
Maybe you'd like another 3 months.
Laziness punished.
It would be so easy.
Personal freedom comes at a
Come
price.
on, let's go. We got a full day ahead.
Our great society expects every employee to contribute to the corporation of their choice.
Has served a 12-month sentence to which 9 months were added for several incidents of insubordination. Deemed ready for
conditional release.
Now, if it was up to me...
Policy exists to keep you safe. Be wary of policy breakers in our midst.
Upon release, you must
seek immediate employment and will be monitored through your grid link.
If you do not find employment within 14 days, you'll be relocated to a Greenland facility. Do you understand these conditions?
Just get me out of here.
Work hard and you will be rewarded.
Dressing rooms to the left, Leech.
Rise to high caste level and enjoy riches well deserved.
Dogan sends his best. Enjoy your freedom.
Yeah, a quick thing before we move on. I also noticed that the frame rate of that video was not good. I don't know why. I haven't had a problem with this on this computer before. It's a massive beast of a computer. But it do seem to have pretty good frame rate in the game, so I do not know what that's about.
Huh.
If it stays, we'll have to fiddle with it, but we'll keep going for now. Yeah, the beginning, it went through a whole number of passes, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. So the, I briefly mentioned it earlier, but the first of all, the that introductory text was added really, really late. Me and Christopher Emgård, our narrative director, felt that we needed something to I guess, frame the city first. And I was a little against it first because the whole thing with a introductory text is a bit overdone. But I'm actually quite happy with how it turned out. And then this first mission release was actually, it went through a lot of changes and some quite big ones actually late in development, where we just weren't really happy with how it played. It was good, but it could be better.
Well, you'll just have
For a really long time, we had a really, really good, solid tutorial.
Yeah.
That was very, in a way, unexciting and unremarkable.
Yeah, I think that was the problem. It was really, really good, and everybody liked the tutorial parts of it, but it wasn't exciting enough.
What the hell?
So we added stuff. We added the guy being let out from the juvie before you, and the poor guy gets beaten up by the bus. That was added, and then most of the combat actually in release was added quite late as well. Both as a tutorial thing, but also because we felt it needed more.
It went back and forth. It started with a section of combat, pretty much in that last warehouse where there is combat now.
Yeah.
That was a completely different thing, much more advanced, really difficult thing.
Yeah.
And then that was scrapped. And then we went with that for a while, and then we ended up with this where it got added back in.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it turned out pretty well.
I think so.
Yeah. One of the things I'm super happy about with release is the when she gets the lens and the grid, it just overheats and starts spamming her with all kinds of stuff. Because we talked about the lens and the grid and the beat and everything for years, and just seeing it finally in game was actually, I loved it.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that you do, which is conceptual. You think it'll turn out good, but then you don't know until you actually see it in game.
No, that's usually the case with everything you do. It's just, and I personally, I'm very much like that. I can't really tell before it's in game if it's going to be good or not.
Especially stuff that is very visual, like story. All the story elements come in very, very late in these games because they're all scenes and things that you can't read them. It's impossible to tell how you can see what the story is trying to convey from a bunch of storyboards and stuff.
Yeah.
But you can't see if it's going to be feel good or not.
No. Yeah, no, it's and it all comes down to then you record actors. We did full performance capture for this for the cutscenes, but we also did lots of mocap for just the the scenes that the scenes that aren't proper cutscenes. And the voices, and we have you have multiple takes for each voice, and you pick which one suits the game best, and so there are changes going on really late until we're all happy with them.
Yeah, I think actually I'm going to switch down the. Actually, let's just switch everything down to high or something. See if we can get the frame rate up. Questions in chat are more than welcome, by the way. We have a few. Why didn't we add rain effect in the rest of the game? It's a very special effect.
Yeah.
So it's made very much for that area alone. It doesn't, there's no support for it in the rest of the game. So there's no systems. It's all fake, if you will.
Yeah.
And it's also part of the feeling we wanted, where you start out in this kind of dusty, dirty place with the rain, with a storm, and then you work your way up into the sunlight, basically.
The whole idea with the release mission was to, from darkness into light, to start at the grimy street level, the part of the city that the conglomerate hasn't even touched yet, or it's probably going to be demolished in a year or two or something like that. But it's just the place you don't want to be as a runner. And the idea is for Faith to just go up and up until she gets to the view at the end of this mission. Not the district view, which we'll reach later.
Yes, much later, in fact.
Yeah.
There's also a bunch of these scenes and sequences here that hold you in, and as many as possible we try to sort of make sure that there was a way to bypass if you're speedrunning the game or something.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I took to heart when I came onto this project, by the way, is the cutscenes, these cutscenes, the ones that aren't in third person, the ones that are sort of in-game, they weren't supposed to be skippable at first.
No, I actually wanted them to be skippable only the second time you played them.
Well, they were at some point not supposed to be skippable at all.
Oh, really?
Because of technical reasons.
And, because of that, yeah.
And I was just not happy with that. I said, these things have to be skippable.
Yeah, I think you went through every single one yourself.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
And made absolutely sure that the amount of unskippable sequences in the game were as few as I possibly could.
Yeah. Is there any? Did we end up with any left? I don't even remember.
I'm pretty sure we have some that aren't great. I'm not sure.
Too close.
Please tell me the story behind the map on the website. That thing looks amazing. Maybe you can fill in it.
Yeah, I can actually comment a bit about that. We've been talking about 3D maps and 3D mini-maps, etc. forever at DICE, I feel.
Yeah.
Different projects. And while we wanted one, we were a bit unsure if we were going to be able to put it off to make it, both look good and be readable for players. And I think why we were basically, me and I don't think you were on the team then yet, but everybody in the leadership group were just busy discussing, should we spend time trying this out, etc., etc. And then we more or less came to work one day, and a guy called Anders, one of the programmers, had just implemented one in WebGL, I think, really quickly over the weekend or something like that. It's like, oh, okay, maybe we shouldn't just talk so much and then just do things.
Sometimes it's better to just make it.
Yeah, that's usually the case, actually. Sometimes we talk too much, we think too much, but then we were really happy with how that map turned out, and it didn't look like the final one. It was a pretty crude thing. I think it used the physics meshes for all the buildings that we had in the city at that time, but it was a great proof of concept. And then we actually spent quite a lot of time on it, and it was a bitch. I seem to remember lighting it properly and getting
very, very, very late in the project, they took the whole thing and relit it, like remade the meshes so the lighting would be good.
Yeah.
And without it becoming a humongous data chunk.
Yeah, exactly. And the problem is that every time we move the building or we had there was a process to. The idea was that it shouldn't require too many manual steps, but in the end, I think we just wanted to do the manual.
Yeah, we never got it to work because it was such a complicated process.
Yeah.
There was some follow-up on that. Was the beta map the intended map for full release? No. That was sort of the thing that we had while we were struggling to make this process work.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The 2D thing, right?
Yeah. So I think we just managed to fix the correct map by the time that we shipped the beta, but it was just
It was too late to get it in.
It was just too late to get it into the beta, and it was not worth the risk. And then of course the thing happens, which always happens with betas, which is like everybody complains about something you already know about, and then you get to take credit for listening to your community, which is always great.
Oh, you performed the wrong kick. I'm commenting on your
on my past mistakes.
Yes, on your past mistakes.
Yep.
The interesting thing with the map, the lens that Faith is wearing in her eye, and the combat echoes and everything is, there's quite an intricate fiction behind that. We spent a lot of time thinking about how it should all fit together, and the projections, the runners that you see, where the echoes of other runners, more or less, that you see sometimes in time trials, etc. It all fits together in this operating system, more or less, called the beat, which the runners talk a lot about in the game. What's the beat?
Yep. Actually commented on that once. It's like every scene starts with "What's the beat?"
But I think I'm really happy with how we didn't compromise on the it's in a sense not. It's a future dystopia thing, and there are tons of future dystopias in the world and in games and movies, etc. But I'm really happy that we didn't compromise on the on those things, the tech, and all the different types of hacks you do, etc.
Yeah.
Here goes.
Whoops.
Did we have any more?
I fell down.
Oh.
Alright, we'll leave that guy behind then. Yeah, I will admit that I'm a little bit rusty on this game. I haven't played that much after release. Somebody asked a while back, how many times have you played through this game? Wow! I've played through it, I don't even know, like countless times.
Yeah.
In pieces, from beginning to halfway through, a whole lot of times. But after release, not that much. So that was one death. I'm gonna say one more thing here that I forgot for all the technical problems. I haven't made a donation myself yet, and I did that at the start last year. And the reason is I'm gonna donate after this thing, and you guys get to keep track. I'm gonna try to donate $2 for every time I die or fail a mission in this. So that's that's once. You guys in chat need to keep track for me. I want to know more specifics. How many times have you done the tutorial? Oh god. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Many hundreds.
Security is the breach control. She should be here.
I don't know. It's hard to count because whenever you go to try the game, like if you want to play the full game, you would always start here. And any demo and stuff that we did always started here. And so we played this over and over and over again. I don't know if I've lost Erik. That's what happened when I look at Skype instead.
Oh, sorry. Here I am.
There you are. How many times have you played Release?
I thought I played it a million times. I had my mic muted. That's why you didn't hear me.
Yep, that makes it harder to hear.
Yeah, I had a coughing fit. No, I think I played Release just I don't know how many times. It's the mission I played most of all, especially since we put so much focus on it toward the end of the dev cycle.
Yep.
Release and back in the game.
Yep. I think we had some sections that were like everything up until the start of Savant.
Yeah.
There was that was some section that belonged together, and I don't know how many times I tested it. I had days where I basically only tested that.
Yeah. You just keep playing and playing and playing, and but the thing is, small things changed all the time, so and things also break all the time.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna try to stop my local recording here because this is not running smoothly during the video sequences.
Oh, that's why it goes into.
This one is running in like slow motion.
Yeah.
Control, no visual. She couldn't have survived that.
Wow. Yeah, this has not been a problem on this computer when I'm not streaming. I don't know exactly why it's doing this now.
Yeah, she took out all of them. Send an EMT too while you're at it. I'm done here.
It's dramatic.
Dramatic slow motion.
See, there's a question about faith reflections.
Mm-hmm.
Why do faith reflections only appear sometimes? Like when you grab the ladder, it had reflections, but sometimes don't. I think because the reflective surfaces are added manually, right?
Yes. Our artists went through and added reflections wherever they thought that they would look good, and we could afford them because they are not free in terms of performance.
No, they're quite expensive.
So, of course, the first thing that happened was that we had reflections all over the place, and the thing ran at like 10 FPS or something. And then they had to be stripped away from a whole bunch of places.
It is your specialty after all.
But, yeah, that's why they're not everywhere.
Seems they've improved their combat training.
I mean, creating games, it's a cliche, but it's really about cheating all the time. with visuals, with AI, with, you know.
That was the Cabal while you were away. We'll find this in the Zephyr train.
That's part of it, yeah, but part of it is also
Come on home, kiddo.
you try to not cheat, and then you are forced to cheat.
Yeah, and then you're forced to cheat. Yeah, that's true.
This is another favorite sequence. I wonder how much time we put into this.
I guess you could probably build a whole game. But I love it.
Yeah, turned out really nice.
Yeah.
We had this sort of temp thing in here for such a long time. And nobody was understanding what it would be or how it would look or anything. And we just had that for the longest of time.
Yeah.
And then we added in the camera sequence, which I did, I think, because the video team that was going to help us with it didn't have time.
Yeah, something, yeah.
And then we got the music for it. And it kind of didn't really match up, so we did a tweak on it, and then it all just stuck together suddenly.
Yeah.
So much better with music.
Oh, yes.
Making my way to the tower now.
Everything in this game becomes better with the music added
I'll
on.
catch up with you later, Noah. Sounds good, Icarus. We still have a game to finish.
How much work went into the tiny cars far in the background in that sequence. But there is a big crowd system that runs all of the sort of distant stuff in the game.
Yeah.
Which is everything from the walking pedestrians on the ground, to the cars, to the boats in the harbor and everything.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of work that went into that.
Tons of it. I think it started out as something. I don't remember if it was a Frostbite thing or it was from another dev studio that started the development of the crowd system.
Yeah, I can't remember. It might have been something. It was probably some form of cooperation.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the golf game on Frostbite or something.
Yeah, that's right. I think it was the golf, the audience in the golf game.
Yeah, that might have been it.
So Noah, what's the beat?
Again, my apologies for these videos. I do not know why
I heard she's
they
eager to
stutter
run.
so much. I guess you can easily tell the difference this way between which cutscenes are actual in-game rendered cutscenes and which are videos running.
Maybe.
Speaking of music, why wasn't the Church's song used at the end credits like Still Alive was?
Sorry.
That's an interesting one.
I actually don't remember. Isn't it used in the end credits?
It's used in the credits if you trigger them from the menu. Not if you trigger, not in-game
yeah.
though. And it was some kind of contractual thing.
Probably, yeah.
I do remember them being super frustrated about that because very late, because this cooperation with churches was a very long process, right?
Yeah,
and really late in that process,
A bit uptight.
there was something that was some snag hit contractually. I don't know exactly what this was. I just heard it from the very frustrated music guys, and they were basically. Well, now we paid for this massive production of a song and we can't use it in the game. Super sarcasm. And somehow it still made it into the game, but not into the credits. I guess that was the compromise. And I don't know what the problem was.
No, I don't remember either. It's available on the jukebox.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's the first song that plays if you use the jukebox.
That might be the case, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other tracks on the jukebox, I think, are from
the first game.
First game, yeah.
Yeah.
All of them.